And we're so happy to have everybody here tonight. I hope that this is something that you'll be able to find is helpful to you in making decisions in the future. And we're going to ask Diane Brody to give us a little bit of explanation of what we're doing here.
Hello, my name is Diane Brody, and I'm a precinct chair with Galveston County, Precinct 224, and I'm also a delegate to the Republican Party of Texas State Convention. Now, I always vet all my candidates from president on down for every race, and so this is my way of doing that for the SREC convention, and I wanted to share it with all the delegates that I could from all three counties so that we can all get an idea of who we'll be voting for in Fort Worth. So I'd like to thank the party chairs, Barbara Meeks from Galveston County, Yvonne Dewey from Brazoria, and Jared Woodfield from Harris County for getting the flyers out, and hopefully they pass them on to their delegates. This is a collaboration between the Galveston County Tea Party and area Republicans. The Tea Party puts on these excellent programs to educate and inform the voters, bring the candidates, elected officials, and issues to the voters so that they can learn about what's going on in their communities. Tonight's an example of what they do, and I hope it'll further bring us like-minded conservatives together in the future. It's also done all on donations, so if you would be generous when they pass the bucket, that would be appreciated. I want to thank the Galveston County Tea Party's Jay Arrington, our events coordinator, for putting this on, and Robert Buchanan for facilitating, as well as other people who helped with mailers and videos and such. And I want to thank everybody for coming here and coming to be informed so that your vote will count and so that you know what you're voting for. The video, when it is ready, will be made available to the county parties to put on their website, and it will be on the Galveston County Tea Party website as well. Thank you all for coming.
Okay, just to give you a little bit of idea of what's going to take place, we're going to have our invocation and do our pledges, and then Cheryl Berg is going to give us some information to make us a little bit smarter about what this committeeship means. And then we're going to choose the speakers. You've already chosen yourself, by the way, by where you sat. I'll just flip a coin and see which end we'll start from.
Oh, great.
Yeah. It's going to be, this part's going to be informal whenever, everybody takes 10 minutes, no more than 10 minutes. You can take less if you want to. And then sit down, and the other person will get up, and we'll proceed down the line. And then we'll, as Diane was talking about, we'll be passing the hat somewhere during this, and then we'll have some question and answer sessions. We got a mic, and if you would hold your question till we get the mic to you where everybody can hear you, would appreciate it. So with that, Bishop Jerry Hayes will give the invocation. Will you please stand?
Most gracious Heavenly Father, we come to you this evening in the name of your holy child Jesus. We're thankful that we live in America, a country that we recognize has been favored by you, because the people have honored you in their doings. We come, Lord, to a crossroads in our history as a people. A nation that is governed by a government of the people, for the people, by the people, has hit upon rocky shoulders. We meet here tonight to discuss who will represent us in various affairs of this government. Father, we are concerned that each generation gets more godless than the one before it. And we are also concerned that since we are a government of the people, that it is the majority voice of our people that decides which direction we go. Lord Jesus, you told us that there would be a separating of sheep nations from goat nations. And then you gave us the criteria of what makes a sheep nation. It is our prayer, our desire, that our great and beloved America will stay a sheep nation, remain what it was when our founders decided to create a city upon a hill that would be the envy of the world. We ask today that you would bless our doings and that we would have the wisdom of heaven in our decisions. We ask it, Lord, in the name of Jesus Christ. Amen.
Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Honor the
Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible.
Thank you. Before we go further, I would like to recognize our... Oh, I'm sorry. Cindy. Thank you. Thank you so much. Yeah, I missed that. Cindy Thomas is going to sing the national anthem for us.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets' red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, sing us that star-spangled banner yet wave, o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave.
Thank you, Cindy. Thank you. Also would like to go ahead and recognize our dignitaries that are here. Just raise your hand or stand up, whichever, just so we'll know where you're at. Jerry Bentley, League City Council. Cheryl Johnson, County Tax Assessor Collector. Barbara Roberts, Judge, County Court 2. Wilfred Schmitz for Judge of the 306 Family Court. Allison Cox for Justice of the Peace, Precinct 1. Heidi Thies, City Council, League City. Jack Ewing for Judge of County Court number 3. Cheryl Berg, Texas House District 129 candidate. Lonnie Cox, Judge 56th District Court. Oh yeah, there you go. Dr. Patrick McGinnis, Friendswood City Council. Barbara Meeks, County Chair, Galveston County, Republican Party. And Wayne Fairclough, State Representative, District 23, Galveston County.
Donnie?
Pardon me?
Donnie Quintanilla.
Oh, Donnie.
Ken Clark.
Well, they didn't. Okay. And Ken Clark.
County Commissioner.
There he is. That's that commissioner. They didn't get on the sheet. There. Okay. Cheryl, would you come up and give us a little education here?
Good evening. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for the great introductions. I want to ask by a show of hands, how many of you will be attending your very first state convention? Would you show us by All right, a lot of you. Good. Wonderful. It's very good. All right, I wanted to just understand how many are new in this process of going to a state convention, and then give you just a little bit of background. First of all, I'll just, by way of background, I will tell you that I have been privileged and honored to have served for 3 terms on the State Republican Executive Committee, and so I thank you who have voted and elected me for the last several times. If you indeed were a delegate for any of the last several conventions, thank you for that honor. It has been a privilege, it has been an honor to serve Brazoria, Harris, and Galveston counties, 3 strong, wonderful counties on the State Republican Executive Committee. And when I say it's an honor, it has been indeed an honor to represent this area, to do the work of the state party. It's gone fast. It's been a fast 6 years, and I just appreciate very much the honor that was entrusted to myself for being on that body. Now, to explain a little bit about what the SREC, or State Republican Executive Committee, does, I brought a couple of handouts, and so I don't have hundreds of copies. I've only made 50. If we run out and you would mind sharing, that would be wonderful. But there's a 2-page summary of the responsibilities and expectations of the SREC, and I wish I said I put it together. I did not. It was very nicely put together by our party. Probably Cassie Daniels did it, and it gives a nice synopsis of the responsibilities. So if you just want to go through it with me for just a couple minutes, and we'll just be very brief about it, because I know really the reason you came together tonight was to hear our wonderful candidates. But the general expectations of the SREC is that whoever is elected would attend the quarterly meetings. They have been, for the last several years, held in Austin at the Republican headquarters. For a while, under a previous leadership, they were held around the state. It was tried different ways, holding them around the state, holding them in different places. I think we decided, or it was decided from ease of convenience, that it perhaps would be better just to hold them at the state, for expenses-wise, at the state party headquarters. So that's where it's been for the last several years. Quarterly meetings at the party headquarters in Austin on Lavaca. General expectations are to serve on at least one committee. That committee can be usually one of your choice. You as the eventual committee man and committee woman to serve on a committee. You are also expected to raise funds. I can't understress this enough. This is, I can overstress it rather. It's a very, very important thing. Let me take this out. Very important part of the SREC. The goal for each member on the SREC is $1,000 a year. And that's a pretty hard and fast rule. So within a 2-year term, that $2,000 is expected to be raised from each member. The SREC man and woman would submit recommendations of candidates to receive funding during the primary season. That they would communicate with the county chairs and other Republicans throughout the region to keep them informed, realizing that the SREC is a liaison between the headquarters in Austin and our county chairs. here. That SREC would host meetings, trainings for Republicans in the area. That has been done in the past several years. We've done that for many reasons. To attend other Republican clubs and events as possible, and to report votes, developments, and events so that constituents are informed and can provide feedback. Those are general expectations, all right? Then there's some other things specifically about the quarterly meetings. I won't bore you. I think you can read those things about the quarterly meetings. I will explain under the selection process the importance that you have as delegates attending the state party in Fort Worth in the early June. That is probably the most important thing we will do, because this being a non-presidential year, probably the most important thing we will do is to elect a new SREC man and woman. And so it's very important to be knowledgeable about that, and then, of course, to be at those caucuses in which they are selected. The term is for 2 years with a limit of 4 consecutive terms. And hypothetically or parenthetically, vacancies occurring in between conventions are filled by a vote of the SREC, so that if someone happened to need to drop out, any reason for dropping out, then the SREC would then fill that vacancy. There are a number of other responsibilities that are also listed on that page, and it also describes committee selection process. The second page just goes into the standing committees. If you have that sheet, there are a number of standing committees, those being the officials committee, party organizations, rules, resolutions, auxiliaries and coalitions, and candidate resource committee. Those are the standing committees. I've been a part of the resolutions committee for the past 3 terms, and I also served on the candidate resource committee. Those are 2 committees I've very much loved being on. And then there's some special committees, the Grassroots Club, there's a volunteerism committee, and the additional resources down below are just by way of saying that SREC bylaws, RPT rules, and the Texas Election Code, those are the governing guidelines by which the SREC operates. Do we have any questions? Do you have questions in a general sense about the workings or the requirements or anything else about the SREC before we start? All right, it's pretty self-explanatory. And again, I say thank you so much for the honor and pleasure of having served you on the State Republican Executive Committee. Thank you very much.
With that, we'll go ahead and flip the coin and see which end we start from. I can find my quarter. I've got one here. This is it. Okay, heads, we're going to start from my left. Heads. Dan, you got it.
Hi, I'm Daniel McCool, and I can tell you what, I have a really nice car that says 200 miles an hour on the speedometer, but you got to tell the other people on the freeways that my car goes that fast, because you can't do it. I am running for the SREC. Many of you know me. I ran for the Senate 2 years ago for Senate District 11. I was down here in the Galveston County area and Brazoria County and Harris County, not just doing the campaigns week in and week out, but helping other candidates over the years. Right now, I went back through some of the thoughts I had over 2 years ago running. I heard a lot of the same information, some of the thoughts that everyone was asking about. I look back at, I'm not going to criticize our current SREC chairs, but it seemed like there was a void of information that was coming out of Austin back down to the actual clubs and people involved. I went back and looked at the website, and I saw it was, I think, last updated in 2009, and thought, well, we need to kind of maybe get with this millennium and do some IT work. So we went ahead and developed a new website. I was part of the folks putting that together. It will include all 3 counties. Whether I'm the SREC, I'll acknowledge everybody on this panel is grassroots conservative. They're all GOP, great folks that are going to be involved, whoever you elect. We're all, for the most part, we all work together on a lot of different projects. But looking into the future, what are we going to bring back down to our members, to our precinct chairs, and to our local county executives, our local Senate district chairs? Each 3 county will have their own chair. Then you have the 2 SRECs that will represent all 3 of the counties. And we will work with the groups, plus the different clubs, plus I will work with Tea Party groups. I will work with Liberty groups. I will work with anyone that's working with the Republican Party, because that's how we do develop and grow our party. Whenever I look back at, I just had these little things passed out. If you look on the top, it says "Stop the Fighting." That's, the 2 elephants. You can be one side of the tent, and on the other side of the tent, somebody you might not agree with, but we're all in the same tent, as Reagan had said. We do need to take a look at who our fellow Republicans are. Whenever I look at some of the stuff that we're wanting to do as far as growth and outreach, 2 years ago, I came up with an idea called Wake Up Texas. It's to go out and get people involved, get them, wake them up. I actually went out and started doing that. We helped form, we did a lot of different town hall meetings, some on city council level, some on mud district or water district, some on, well, even for Galveston County Tea Party 2 years ago when you did the sheriff's race, the House race, and the commissioner's race. I did that little PowerPoint deal that was behind the scenes that asked the questions. You do some of that IT stuff to help other clubs, other people. You don't have to have a title of SREC to be doing this stuff, and that's why I started doing it way back when. But I took that same thought and started helping other clubs become developed. I was the founder of the Lone Star Republicans, which serves East Harris County and Chambers County and Liberty County, to help develop some growth out in that area. We have 0 Republican clubs in that east side of Harris County, yet you have a congressional district that's being challenged right now, and a lot of those voters have nowhere for those candidates to come and meet them as far as Republican clubs. They might meet them at a ribbon cutting or a Chamber of Commerce event, and that's fine, but you really don't get to talk politics at those events. You get to talk to a politician, but you don't get to talk politics. So anyway, we developed the Lone Star Republicans. Then on the south side of Harris County, along the I-45 corridor, there's a void there around the Hobby Airport area, going up from Heritage Park back up into the Gulf Gate area. So I formed a club over there. I founded a club. It's called South Belt Area Republicans. That club, the idea of it was, that district has a lot of Hispanic, a lot of African American. It has a lot of some of the lower financial type folks up off of Edgebrook or Broadway, some of those areas. Well, I wanted to bring those folks into the Republican Party also and give them a voice, have them come over if they're conservative and they're like-minded, get them involved. They had no outlet, no place to go. So we have South Belt, you have Lone Star. Did an event over in Deer Park on their mayor's race a year and a half ago, and I would say that the Battleground Tea Party was formed out of that meeting. We did a town hall meeting like this and did one of my little PowerPoint deals like I do, and next thing you know, there's 150 people in a room over one Senate or one councilman's race and two councilmen and one mayor's race. Whenever you start looking at, you can draw 150 people into a town or into a room for one small race. That's phenomenal. Well, they all kind of got fired up. They wanted to do something and keep that momentum going. Now they've had a club. They bring in candidates. They bring in other folks that will hopefully bring some conservative minds to some of the politics. Whenever we go back and we start looking at who all is running and why they are running and what messages they're telling you they're going to do, also go back and look and see what they've been doing. Year after year, month after month, week after week. We just spent the last 2 weeks block walking for Leonila Oliveira Salazar. She's back in the back. The Democrats are trying to keep her off the Republican ticket come November. We went out and block walked. We collected 600 and some signatures for a JP race. She only needed 250. Of course, we got over it, so whenever the Democrats start trying to verify it, we can say in your face and they can go back and do it. That district she's running in is that same corridor I was talking about along I-45. That district is 59,000 Democrats, 29,000 Republicans, but there's 42,000 swing voters. Those swing voters, a majority of them are Hispanic. We keep saying we want to grow the party, but we're talking to ourselves in the mirror or we're talking to a wall because there's no action taking place. Whenever I say I'm taking action, some of you remember a couple of years ago when Michael Berry did that, said I was the guy that would take action. I'm a doer. Well, I'm still a doer and I'm still a guy taking action. Well, we got Leonila, her 600 signatures, of course, and she'll be on the ballot, I believe, come November once we get through with all these other court challenges. But that whole corridor through there is a lot of Hispanics. We do need to keep growing that party. We do need to understand that a lot of their values are the same thing that we have, or that we have the same values they have, and we need to help develop it. I would say action speaks louder than words. I'm not the best articulate speaker, but my actions really do take hold. You look at the different clubs I've helped form. I'm still the vice president of the Clear Lake Area Republicans. We do forums. I just went out and spent $3,000 on video equipment. We have some PA systems. We have cameras. We have all this other stuff that I'm buying some on my own. The club bought a lot. I'm buying a lot on my own. We're going to start doing some videos for education. If you want to go ask someone, what is a delegate? We're going to have a video over here, a little 1 minute to 3 minute video saying this is what a delegate does. These are projects I'm already doing that we don't have to have I'm sorry, I haven't asked permission from the county or the state to do these things. This is the action that I'm trying to help develop any of the Republicans. If you go back and you look at what direction we do want to go, and you see the momentum that we've picked up over the last 5 years, a lot of it does go back to the Tea Parties, and it goes back to the Libertarians, and it does go back to Republicans that got tired of some of the business as usual. I am not your business as usual Republican. I'm sorry. Whenever I ran against my opponents 2 years ago for the Senate, I took 0 PAC dollars. I pledged to take 0 PAC dollars. But what I did was every dollar I raised, I matched it with $1. So if I had $10,000, I put $10,000 of my own in. And I was told by one of those candidates, quit doing that. You need to go back and you can get the donations paid off, give it to yourself as a loan. I'm sorry, that's not the way that my government should work. If I put skin in the game, I feel I should put skin in the game. Right now, whenever you start looking at all of our candidates here, there'll probably be others that might get involved. Go back and actually look at what they are doing, what they've done in the past, and what direction they are wanting to go. Again, my name is Daniel McCool. A little bit of background on me. I'm a 25-year deputy sheriff up in Harris County. I'm an activist on certain levels. I push a lot of people's buttons sometimes, and I'm not there to make friends with everybody. But I'm there to take action and get things taken care of. Again, Daniel McCool. I have a Facebook page, Daniel McCool for Texas. Thank you.
All right. Good evening, everybody. How y'all doing? All right, we're doing fine. First of all, let me say this. My name is J.T. Edwards. I'm the precinct chairman from Precinct 306. Precinct 306, downtown Galveston. That's the East End. Let me tell you something. We have a problem, and the reason why I want to be your committee man is to deal with that problem. I have a 4-point platform, and we're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about empowerment. We're going to talk about leadership. We're going to talk about educating, and we're going to talk about working. But first, let's identify the problem. The problem is we have a a non-Republican electorate that needs reaching out to. Why? Because the Democrats are doing it right here, right now. Right here, right now. With the plan that I have, and that we're going to implement as your committee man, along with whoever you select as our committee woman, it's going to be clear. You're going to have the proper tools. You're going to have the proper leadership, you as leaders. You're going to have the proper education. And we're going to work together. So let's talk about that for a minute. Why do I want to be your committee man? I want to grow the Republican electorate. As your committee man, I'm going to empower you by giving you the tools that you need to get the job done. Where to be data points, where to be analysis, or whether it be some of the homegrown tools that I've built. A sample of that is on my particular website, and we'll talk about that in a few minutes. Leadership. We've talked often about diversity leadership, diversity outreach, minority outreach. We target certain sectors. It is my belief, and as your committee man, I will deliver. I will be at the tip of the spear, especially being a minority Republican. I will lead the way in terms of understanding that in order to get this done, you've got to go to two key points. One, you have to do cultural connections. Cultural connection. What does that mean? Basically, in a nutshell, as I've spoken with many, it's keeping it real. Keeping it real. Understanding the challenges of each of the targeted areas, whether it's evangelical Christians, African Americans, Hispanics, Asian Americans. We have to have the courage and we must have the fortitude to address these issues from a conservative value standpoint versus liberal stereotyping, or liberal typecasting, if you will. The next thing I want to talk about in terms of my 4-point plan, education. Educating the electorate is the single most important thing we must do as committee men and committee women. That means I promise to use open source secure technology to bring the information to our electorate, to our activists, and to our elected leaders. Understanding what's in front of us, reporting on key issues, developments in our state, Capitol, House, Senate, Washington, D.C., locally. These things must be delivered to you versus you go searching for it. And I'm going to do that using the technologies. Work. In order to make this all work and for us to grow our Republican leadership, grow our electorate, we have to work together as a team. One team, one fight. As your committee man, I plan to interface with elected leaders, conservative activists, and conservative groups. I have a past history of working across multiple lines. There are those of you who are in this room right now who I speak with sometime on a daily basis. Some once a week, some once a year. The bottom line up front is that communication is the key to our continued success. Now, as Committeewoman Berg had talked about, what are the qualifications and how do I match up? So let me tell you a little bit about my background. I'm a 10-year military veteran, military intelligence. I have a wonderful wife and a wonderful son. He's cute. Some of y'all have seen him. Some of y'all have even played with him. And he's gorgeous. I've been a precinct chair for 2 terms now. I've been a delegate at both the county and state convention twice. I didn't make it to state because of the fact my aunt was sick. I am the president of the Galveston Island Pachyderm Club, a club that just mere five months ago was considered by National Federation a club in danger. I am pleased to report that where we began, thanks to myself and our leadership team, we are now the #2 club in the United States. Come on, Chattanooga. Come on, Chattanooga. What we're talking about here is values, growing the base, getting the job done. A lot of you I've spoken to, some of my friends in Galveston, I'm pretty well known, but a lot of you in Brazoria County, and I'll be talking to some of you in Harris County, I've had wonderful, wonderful discussions. It's been a dream. I think one delegate who's in the room says, I'm going to send you a bill for that. Right, Sherry? We don't do long distance charges anymore, do we? I'm honored to be considered as one of your candidates. If I cannot be your number one, I want to be your number two. The job requirement that it takes to be your committee man involves a lot of travel, a lot of coordination, a lot of time. But most of all, it requires time management skills, which I have. I can deliver those things for you. We can get the job done. And more importantly, we're going to have a lot of fun while doing it. It's already a tough hill to climb. It's already a tough hill to climb. Very much so. So, ladies and gentlemen, I thank you. I thank you so much for being the conservative activists that you are and will be. And remember, JT for SREC. Thank you very much. Have a good evening. Give yourself a round of applause. Thank you.
The tree of liberty must be replenished from time to time by the blood of patriots and tyrants. So said Thomas Jefferson in a letter in 1787. Of course, he was speaking of the patriots and tyrants of his day, the farmers who became militiamen, Minutemen, the regulars under General Washington and the Continental Army, and he was speaking of a faraway government that kept usurping the freedoms of its citizens and taxing them and eventually sending armies to suppress them. Ladies and gentlemen, I have to ask you, do you see parallels today? Well, good evening, friends, delegates, Texans, Americans, and fellow citizens. I'm Dr. Pat McGinnis, and I'm here to introduce myself to you as a candidate for the SREC, and I certainly do see parallels today, metaphorically speaking. You know, ideas have consequences, and I think we can reverse that to look at today's situation, that consequences actually have ideas. And the problems that we see in our political system today are rooted in ideas that have been permeating out from academia into the culture, into the politics for over 100 years. And I think, you know, it is gradually eating away at the base of our American civilization. Now, you may have thought that, well, I'm focused on President Obama, but I'm not. To use a medical analogy, he is just the latest symptom of a long-term disease, the march of left, liberal, progressive, utopian ideas. And I have to be honest, the Republican Party, you know, we may point the finger at the Democrats. They're the party of big government, but sometimes the Republicans have been a willing dance partner. And I think for our republic to survive, we have to proudly be the party of limited government, liberty, individual rights, and prosperity. Thank you. Many of you in Galveston County know me already. I'll just quickly give you the rundown. I've been in Texas since '91, came here to chase my own American dream, trained at UTMB, worked for NASA as a flight surgeon. I'm still going on 29 years as an Air Force Reserve flight surgeon, lived in Friendswood since 1995, just really have thrived here. I've got a decent educational background with 4 degrees beyond my MD, and that is just to show you I've got the intellectual capacity and the wherewithal and the proper freedom-oriented mental background to take on this job as your SREC rep. The question for you now, I think, is can I represent you? Now, I believe that I can, and let me tell you, in many ways, I already do. I don't know where Kathy Rogers is in the audience, but she did for me what all of us should do to our friends and neighbors and colleagues. She merely invited me to get involved in the Republican Party. She caught me one night when I voted at the precinct and said, "Hey, why don't you come tonight to our precinct convention?" That was in 2008, and let me tell you, there are about 10,000 people there, very excited about candidate Obama that year and about 20 of us on the Republican side. But I did, and I've been involved since then with our senatorial district, and I've been pleased that I've been a delegate or alternate delegate to the state convention since then. The other thing that I did, because she encouraged me to get involved, in 2010, I decided to run for the Friendswood City Council. Now, thank God I was elected, and I'm happy to tell you that in 2013, I was reelected with 60% of the vote. Now, being on the Friendswood City Council is not exactly glamorous, but it is practical, and it is grassroots, and it's just work, you know? I mean, we look at budgets. We have competing constituencies. We have citizens committees of, you know, from Keep Friendswood Beautiful to the 4th of July that have their input. We have squabbles among our citizens and among our citizens committees. You know, this job, and I would think it would be similar to the SREC rep, takes patience, collaboration, consistency, dedication, and a good-natured, affable spirit to laugh and get through the difficult times. I think even at the city council level, I hate to tell you, but we even feel the strings from our federal government coming down. You know, it's really a shame. I think our founders intended for politics and politicians to be right there at the council level, where you're closest to the citizens that you represent. And unfortunately, since the New Deal, you know, that pyramid has been turned on its head. And now we answer so many times to Washington. Believe me, I'm in the healthcare business. I think what's happening with the Affordable Care Act is really, really a terrible thing. Good intentioned, but just it's gonna be more of a mess. Anyway, Friendswood City Council is a place where political philosophy, as I kind of mentioned, you know, my framework before, meets practical realities. That's where I deal with the budget, et cetera. And the decisions that I make affect the lives of every citizen in Friendswood. And I think I've done a good job. Obviously, the voters reelected me last year, but even I know I can't make everyone happy at all times. The work, I'd say, is gratifying, though not glamorous. So can I represent you? I think that I've got a track record to prove that I can do that. I believe that I can. Also, I want to mention, at the last state convention, I also stood before our group of delegates to present myself as a candidate to run to a candidate for the national convention. And I was selected to represent our delegation to the national convention. And this year, in a few weeks, I'll stand before you again to ask for your vote for the SREC. Well, let me wrap things up, ladies and gentlemen. I began with a quote from Thomas Jefferson. And let me end then with a quote from James Madison, Federalist number 10, where he said, "Enlightened statesmen will not always be at the helm." So let me say that again. Enlightened statesmen will not always be at the helm. Now, I look back at that and I think, boy, that guy must have been a prophet. I mean, it is such an understatement today. But just as Jefferson said before about patriots and tyrants, and I say, you know, metaphorically, you know, we are the patriots of our day, and it's up to us to renew this tree of liberty. Now, as Dan said, you know, I think you're going to see all of us up here tonight are worthy of your vote and worthy to be your SREC rep. So, you know, we are all on the same team. But I'm here to tell you, my friends, we have a lot of work to do. We've got to revitalize what Dennis Prager calls the American Creed, or the American Trinity: liberty, e pluribus unum, and in God we trust. Now let's ensure that this is passed on to our children and our succeeding generations I'd be so honored to represent you as the SREC rep in the next 2 years. Thank you very much.
I'm not sure whose glasses these are. Somebody missing some glasses?
I think they're Robert's.
Oh, okay. All right. All right. Ladies and gentlemen, hello. My name is Gary Schramm. I've come here tonight for the... Let's turn it up. My name is Gary Schramm. I've come here tonight for the opportunity to earn your trust and your support to represent you on the SREC. Okay, how about that? Can everybody hear now? I'm not used to speaking into a microphone, as you can see. Used to standing face to face and talking to people. You know, I had a really good speech that I wrote up, and I've decided after listening to these gentlemen, I've realized I'm not the smartest guy in the room. I'm not the most qualified guy in the room so far. I told Diane a while ago, I said, you know, I'm not sure which of these three guys I'm going to vote for now. But as I thought about that, I realized there's still not anybody in this room or at this table up here that loves the conservative Texas values that we stand for more than I do. I may not be the most eloquent, and I may not be the smartest. In fact, I know I'm not. But I guarantee you, this is my family. I feel at home when I get together with conservative Republicans. Now, that may make me weird, I don't know, but I just feel at home. I feel comfortable. I don't have a really smooth, eloquent speech to give you. I was going to list all of the club activities I've done and, you know, all the other stuff. I think it'd be boring to you. But I've decided I think what I'm going to do is skip ahead a little bit. I'm going to tell you first that I'm going to make you 4 promises, and I even printed these out so that I always have them to remind me as your SREC representative. I said first, I promise to stand for Republican principles. I won't be a rhino, or I won't pretend to represent any other principles other than Republican principles. And I'll continue to be a strong advocate for those Republican principles as your SREC. Second, I promise to listen to your ideas and concerns, and I'll speak on your behalf to the Republican Party leadership. Might not be comfortable sometimes, but I promise you I'll do that. Third, I promise to keep you informed of state Republican Party activities and news. That's an easy one. That's what all SRECs do. And then I promise to serve all of SD11 with honor and integrity as your representative on the SREC. I had, well, I'm just turning pages here, stuff I was going to talk about, but I have maybe a little different vision of what the Republican Party of Texas ought to be. I think the Republican Party of Texas, my vision for that is that we develop a party that adapts to the realities of our electorate in 2014. It'd be easy for me to sit here and think, well, okay, this is my audience and this is how I have to shape my speech. But I want to tell you about my 2 strategies, and I want to tell you of one realization I've had. Now, you may not be comfortable with some of the things I might say, but I'm going to ask you to bear with me because I promise you that we're on the same team. Okay? All right, my first strategy is one that we've already heard about tonight a little bit, and that is we've got to find a way to be more inclusive rather than less inclusive. I don't know about you, but it seems to me the message I hear from not only the Democrats, but the message I hear from us is for every new idea, no, that's not the way we've done that before. It hasn't worked for us yet, and I don't believe it's going to work for us in the future. We're going to have to change. We're going to have to be more inclusive rather than less inclusive. I just don't see any way we're going to get around it. We got to get used to it. We're going to have to include more minorities. We're going to have to reach out to our youth. So let's face it, what else is our future except our youth? I mean, without our youth, we don't have a future. I know that RPT has already started doing outreach for both of those groups, if you will, and I hate to create groups like that. But we got to get behind RPT. We've got to have a sense of urgency to push RPT. We've got to make a personal commitment that we're going to be part of that outreach individually. Without us, it ain't going to happen. And without that happening, I don't know where the Republican Party is going to go in the future. Okay, strategy number 2. I think that every policy, every success, every failure we have, whatever the circumstance, whatever the issue, starts with our leadership at the top. We've got to develop qualified, electable Republican leaders. And that may be you in this room right here. It may be you in this room for your community or this club or your family, wherever it is. I think we've had a failure of leadership at the national level. We don't have a statesman, and I love that word. We don't have a statesman, in my opinion, at the national level that speaks for Republican values. All right. Those are my 2 strategies. I'm going to tell you now about that realization that I was talking about. And don't throw things at me because I'm still on your side here, okay? We're still on the same party. This is kind of tough, and I've really struggled with this one inside a lot with this. I think the root cause of whatever perceived defeats that you perceive have been defeats in our party, whether it's the local level, the national level, in the news media, socially, economically, fiscally, whatever that may be, that you say when you say, we've got to change that, or why doesn't that work, or whatever it may be. I don't think that's because we have an uninformed electorate or a low information electorate. I don't think it's because of the lies of the media or the fact that the media is supporting another party. I think that fault is my fault. And I think it's your fault too. I'm not going to beat around the bush. It's your fault and your fault. It's all of our faults. Do you or do we not understand that we have a Republican Party platform that has thought through in great detail all of these problems and these issues that we see in the news every day? We have the answers. We've had the answers. We just haven't been willing to share those or promote them. I get a lot of emails, and I suspect you do too, every day that says, this person really made a mistake, or let's don't vote for that person, or get rid of that candidate, or I don't like what this person's doing. I never get emails that say, golly gee, do you know what? I saw a problem, and here's how we can solve it. Here's how the Republican Party platform is going to address that issue and solve that problem. So the next time you're feeling low, or the next time you're feeling down, or you're feeling, woe is me, I'm sad, this isn't going to work, what are we going to do, the sky has fallen, go look in a mirror. Go look in a mirror and say, what have I done to solve that problem? What have I done? What have I told my neighbor? What have I told my wife? What have I told my children? What editorial have I written to say, here's how the Republican Party solved that problem? And you should be happy. We've got the answers. We've got to share that with the rest of the lost. And you'll let me use the word lost there, I guess, metaphorically, okay? I heard Rudy Rios last week. Really impressed with Rudy. He's a heartfelt guy, heartfelt speaker. And he said something, he said, we've got to meet the people where they are. And you're right. I don't care what group it is. We've got to meet the people where they're at. If they have a need, we have to tell them, we have to prove to them, we have to show to them in our lives how we've met that need and how the Republican Party platform can meet those needs. Don't give up. Don't be discouraged. I challenge you, though, grow in yourselves. Don't be ashamed of who you are. Don't apologize for it. Stop complaining and whining and take charge of your life, of your city, of your county, of your state, of our nation. Let's be Republican Americans. Thank you for your time. I appreciate it.
Hi, I'm Diane Brody again, and I'm going to be reading. Why not? Can you hear me now? Hello? Hello? Okay, I'm going to be reading Debbie Gittane Roan's speech for her candidate statement. Good evening, everyone. My name is Debbie Gideon Roan, and I am running to be your next SREC SD11 committee woman. First, let me thank the Galveston Tea Party for hosting this event. I'm sorry I couldn't attend, but my husband and I made out-of-town plans for this before this event was scheduled. I'm grateful for the opportunity to send a statement. I've run multiple events like this, so I know putting together something like this takes time and effort. I think the organizers deserve a round of applause. Don't you? I wish I was there to say hi to all of you whom I know from our years working together across the county, the senatorial district, the Galveston, Houston area, and the entire state, and more importantly, to make some new friends too. I also wish I was there so everyone had a chance to ask me their own questions. So here's my commercial. If you want more detail about my extensive history of activism, please visit DebbieGittaneRoan.com or follow me at Debbie Gittane Roan for SREC SD11 on Facebook. And by all means, email me your questions or input on what's important to you at dgroan@gmail.com. So who am I? I'm the granddaughter of immigrants from a number of different countries. They were in awe of being here, even through the Depression. I'm the daughter of a World War II Pacific Theater veteran who was also a 30-year police sergeant. They're all gone now, but love of the American dream lives on in me. Others may have to, and now I'm quoting from their website, go back and rediscover those precious values. But for me, they are right here, right in front of my eyes, and have been every day of my life. I've lived their dream. I thank God for the gift of America they gave me, and I intend to do everything in my power, in my grandparents' and my dad's memory, to make sure it's still there for my kids and my grandkids. I have been married almost 35 years to my husband, Bernie. We were a career military family. It was his present job with NASA that brought us to SD11 10 years ago. We've turned down multiple chances for promotions rather than leave Texas. We have 3 children, ages 19 through 30, and 2 grandchildren. We are parishioners at St. Clair of Assisi Roman Catholic Church in Clear Lake. What do I believe? I believe in a number. It's not $54,938.47, the amount each of my grandkids owes on our national debt. It's not 80,000, the number of pages of economy-crushing and job-crushing regulations being pumped out each year by the Obama administration. My number is 51%. For each election, and make no mistake, I mean every Republican primary, I want us to identify who are the 51% most conservative people, then get them involved, registered, working together, and voting. That's how we win. It would be great to get more, but if 51% is all we need. So why didn't I launch into the list of what we believe in? Well, because it's a list of what we all believe in. The self-reliant American individual, the foundation, the centerpiece of our civic culture. Our Constitution, used as it was intended, a limit on our government. not some sort of blank check we the people handed the government for them to fill in and interpret. Our government as servant, not master, and certainly not sugar daddy or pusher who's pushing the drug of dependency. Moreover, our government is responsive and obedient servant, not shiftless and looking for ways to dodge our orders. The point I'm trying to make about believing in 51% is that we need to be effective. Effectuating conservative principles is how we drive the party, and then using the party in turn to drive Texas and the rest of the country toward those principles. It depends on a combination of two critical things: believing the right things and implementing them with efficiency. I have been highly effective on behalf of conservative principles, not just because I believe in the right things, but also because I have a long history of implementing them efficiently. The primary responsibility of the executive committee is to execute. When you're doing the right thing the right way, it's great. For instance, Ted Cruz. I met him through TFRW, and I was for him when he had a 2% name ID. Was still Solicitor General, and before he even announced in January 2011. But more importantly, I also acted to help make what I believe that Ted was a great senator a reality. As president of Bay Area Republican Women, I immediately asked him to speak at one of our BARW meetings, then offered him a larger forum, one of his first, at our 2011 Lincoln Day dinner. I used my wide network of contacts to start a buzz about him in party circles, leading to even more early speaking opportunities for him. Of course, to hear him is to love him, so it was easy. I was grateful to be at his primary victory party when he said in his speech that he couldn't have done it without Republican women. And then when he left the podium, came down and gave me a big hug and a warm thank you. I'm still surprised and so proud that he recognized me by name when I think of myself as just another conservative foot soldier. The results speak for themselves. Don't we agree that Texas has the best senator in the U.S. Senate? The things that make me effective on behalf of our values is what I have done and how long I've been doing them. I've been a limited government grassroots activist since the Clinton era. $200 billion deficits as far as the eye can see. Multiple vetoes of common sense welfare reform. It may not have been as bad as Obama, but it's bad enough to set me off. Because of the Clintons, I realized it was no longer enough for me to just cast a vote or talk only with people who agreed with me. I needed to get involved, to multiply my vote, to recruit new allies. Since then, advancing conservative principles has been just about a full-time job for me. I worked Bush 2000 in Maryland, and I helped elect Bob Elrick, Maryland's first Republican governor in 37 years. The following year, we moved to Texas, and I picked up where I left off. Locally, I attended the Bay Area Republican Women Lincoln Day dinner in February 2004, joined in March, and have been one of their officers ever since, including 4 years as president. In 2008, I was their Volunteer of the Year. In 2010, honored as their Woman of the Year. I attended the first ever Clear Lake Tea Party event at the Harris County Annex Courthouse, was at the recent 5-year anniversary party, and have kept the lines of communication open between Tea Party conservatives and their natural allies, like me, among the GOP. Each election cycle for the last 10 years, I've helped organize and staff the Harris County Party campaign headquarters with my dear friend and mentor, Lillian Norman Keeney, until her death. At the regional level, I was our SREC SD11 Volunteer of the Year for 2013. I travel and present on behalf of Women Are More, an organization formed to promote the fact that all issues are women issues. I've attended every precinct, SD11, and state convention since 2006. I currently serve as TFRW District Director for the 10 Republican Women Clubs across our SD11 since April 2013, so I already understand and respond to different interests and needs of the party. At the state level since 2008, I've served on the Texas Federation of Republican Women's Board, broadening my contacts, increasing the voice of our area statewide. I've been a TFRW Tribute to Women's awardee, and just last year I voted one of the top 10 Republican women in Texas. In 2009, I co-chaired with Bonnie Wilson an enormously successful Women TFRW State Convention in Galveston. So what does it mean for the future of our common SD11 future? I don't tell you about these activities for self-aggrandizement. I think they show who I am and what I've done have laid the foundation for me to serve you further in the position I now seek. My vision for the party is to see that it both enhances its conservatism and remains the majority party in Texas. Thank you for your kind attention. I'm Debbie Gattain-Run, and I'm asking for your vote for SREC SD11 Committee Woman.
Hi, before I get started, I wanted to recognize our district chairman, Travis Bryan, Harris County District Chairman. He's been phenomenal. Can y'all hear me? Okay, how many of you are fellow state delegates? Great, congratulations. And it's good to see others here that are interested too. My name is Tanya Robertson, and I'm running to represent you as your next SREC, State Republican Executive Committee, SD11 Committee Woman. And thank you to Galveston County Tea Party for presenting this great opportunity for me to earn your vote today. My husband, Mike, and I have been married 18 years this Sunday, and I thank him so much for putting up with me. We have 3 wonderful daughters. Brandy is 28, Marissa is 23, and our little one, Whitney, back there will be 15 at the end of this month. Thank you, Whitney. And we have 2 precious granddaughters. Our oldest one is 8 years old, and the baby is 18 months old, little Rhea. Right now, LaDawn and Suzanne and Sherry are passing out some flyers. It'll contain my contact information and some goals. This thing is driving me crazy. Some goals that I would like to work to achieve if elected, along with this space for your notes and the job description of what exactly is expected of the SREC member, similar to what Cheryl passed out earlier. The structure of the Texas Republican Party and links to follow to access our party platform. That's very interesting bedtime reading. For those of you that are interested too, I have some copies of our Texas Bill of Rights. These are very important to know or to have on hand, especially these days. See me afterwards. I have some for you. It is basically the job of the SREC to provide guidance and to act as a steering committee for the Republican Party of Texas when it comes to principles, values, and ideas passed into our platform by delegates like us. So you see why this is such an important job. One question that I've been asked a lot is, why are you running for this position? And no, I'm not crazy. And no comments from the peanut gallery. The answer was one that I had to think about because I wasn't quite clear on it. Serving as the Harris County SD11 Vice Chair for the last 2 years and working on numerous local, state, and national campaigns, along with being a very active member of the Clear Lake Area Republicans, which my husband is a president of, and Clear Lake Tea Party, it's made me realize how very important the RPT is on all levels of our government. When this position was brought to my attention, my response was like so many of yours. We need to get somebody in there that will listen to us and communicate with us. Well, as the saying goes, don't ask anyone to do something that you wouldn't do yourself. So I believe that God put it in my heart to run this race, so here I am. In lieu of running through the whole laundry list of my accomplishments and group affiliations, which you can find on my website on that cover page that they handed out to you, I'm going to just let you know a few goals that I have if elected your next committee woman. Bless you. First, I would open the lines of communication between the SREC and the district via emails, website, and social media. I have done this for numerous organizations for a number of years and believe that an informed Texan is an active Texan. Second, who would attend a meeting hosted by your SREC committee members? Who would attend that meeting? Great. One of my goals is also to work with the elected SD committeeman to organize town hall meetings after every SREC quarterly meeting, alternating counties for these meetings. And I've had the pleasure with working with the majority of these candidates already, so I'm sure that would be no problem. Third, I would supply principled leadership, transparency, trust, and teamwork, hashtag Team SD11, to our district. Harris County SD11 used this hashtag during our district convention, and it was not only fun, but people that weren't attending our district convention really got to see what was happening. It was kind of cool. It's been fantastic to have worked with so many of you here on issues and projects and campaigns, and if I'm lucky enough to be elected as your next committee woman, I'll have the privilege to do that all the same with all of you. And on that note, my name is Tanya Robertson, and I would be honored to earn your vote on Friday morning, June the 6th at the state convention. Please feel free to contact me before the convention should you have any questions or concerns, and I would really appreciate your support and your vote. Thanks.
Well, I think that's a tough act to follow. Hi, I'm Jeff Larson. I'd like to thank you for having me out here tonight. It's great to be in Galveston, and it's great to meet some new faces. I know a lot of you already know me, a lot of you don't, but this is a great opportunity for you to find out what all of us are all about who are running for this office. Now, let me tell you a little bit about myself, and then I'll tell you a little bit about how I feel about the office and what I think is going on in our state and our state party, and how this all relates to you directly. Okay, so first of all, I'm Jeff. I started out in this Republican game in a leadership role back in '86 when I was first elected to be a precinct chair. So I've been a precinct chair an awful long time, and that has allowed me to really see at a grassroots level how the party works. And always at the, that's the worm's eye view of it. And, it's been great doing that. And I'm still doing that now. I am currently the Precinct 349 chairman up there in Harris County. I will officially not be a precinct chairman anymore when they convene for their next session. And the reason is, this last term, I ran to be the state representative for House District 129. And you can't be on the ballot twice, so I'm going to have to go before the vacancy committee up in Harris County and get my precinct job back because my precinct has gone vacant, sadly. And that leads me into my next thing as far as where I've been and what I've done. This last 2 years, I've served on the Harris County Vacancy Committee, helping to fill vacant precincts that did not have a precinct chairman. So, and before that, I was on the Candidates Committee in Harris County, and before that, I was on the Judicial Screening Committee, which, we split the candidates between the judicial candidates and everybody else. So I've seen both of those two pieces as well. On the state level and on the national level, I think I've been to 6 state conventions already, and I've really noticed a change about how those conventions are run. And I think it's a very positive one. I think it speaks well for our party. With everybody who was at the state convention in 2008 or 2010, please raise your hand. Okay, quite a few of you. Of you, how many were also there in 2012? Okay, did you notice a difference? I certainly did. And that difference is leadership. That is, I really believe that that leadership took place because we elected Steve Munisteri. I think he has done a terrific job, and I would really like to see him continue. Now, at the last SREC meeting, he announced that he will run again. He may not serve out the full term due to his health, but every month that I can keep Steve Munisteri in office, I think is a good thing for the Republican Party of Texas. And I would really hope that in addition to electing one of us as your SREC rep, that you also reaffirm the wonderful leadership that he's provided us. And that brings me to my next item, the last SREC meeting. I was at the last SREC meeting. I was also at 3 of the 4 SREC meetings last year. I think I'm the only one up here who did that. I know they've become more popular, and I think that's a good thing too. What I've seen, what happened here, and this was, again, a part of a reawakening, a rebirth of the Republican Party in Texas, is people are starting to go to those stuffy old committee meetings in Austin. People are driving 2 and 3 and 4 hours to Austin to sit in a meeting with our SREC reps. Now, why would they do that? It's to see what's going on, to take ownership of their party. And that's what I want to bring to you. I think that's very important. Democracy is a team sport. Everybody, it's a do-it-yourself project. It is not something where somebody stands up on high and dictates to you what you should be doing. It is for each and every one of you to be informed, for each and every one of you to go to the voting booth, for each and every one of you to come to your Republican functions, for each and every one of you to help determine who your leaders are going to be. That is very important to me. So if you see somebody that says, I'm going to lead you, I've seen that kind of leadership in action. I've seen that at the RNC meetings, the Republican National Committee. Oh, I've also been to 3 of the last 4 RNC committee meetings, and after I get done tonight, I will hop on a plane tomorrow and go to Memphis for the next RNC committee meeting, which is this week, Wednesday through Sunday. I believe I've been to more RNC meetings in the last year than anybody else in Harris or Galveston or Brazoria counties, with the exception of our National Committee man, Robin Armstrong. So I've seen why we have problems at the national level. Too much, I've seen people on the RNC, and they're sort of the vision of the party is that they'll tell you what to do, and you sit down, shut up, and work to elect their candidates. That, I don't think, is the way the Republican Party ought to work. The Republican Party ought to start with you. It ought to start with the grassroots, and it should go up to the top. It should be bottom-up driven instead of top-down. So that's very important to me, too. So as a bunch of us have started going to these SREC meetings in Austin, what we have done, just by being in the room, I've seen a change in the way the SREC operates. I've seen it become more open, and I want to continue that. I want to see the SREC, and this is my personal philosophy, and I guarantee you, if you send me to Austin, this is the way I will interact, is that I want to represent you. I want to hear from you. I love Tanya's idea of having the town hall meetings. I absolutely support that. I think most of the people up here on this platform would very willingly and very gladly do that. At our, in Harris County, at our Senate District Convention that we had just recently, 4 of the gentlemen here got up to speak. And, you know, there's 4 of us here from Harris. And I think, Dan, you were the first. And what Dan's message was primarily about transparency. And then I think Dale got up and he spoke about transparency. And then I got up and I was thinking, man, this is kind of a trend here, because that's what I was going to talk about, and I talked about that a little bit too. And I didn't know Steve quite that well, but he got up and he talked about transparency. And that really struck a chord with me, because for all 4 of us to have the same idea about what needs to change on the SREC and how we need to go about it, that tells me that it's very clear and very obvious to the grassroots people here, and certainly on our side of the border, It's very clear what we need to do and how we need to go about it. We need to have more open communication. We need to listen to rank and file Republicans more. And that is absolutely the philosophy I want to take to Austin, and that's what I want to do for y'all. So with that, I could tell you more about my personal background. I've been in the district since '85. Some of you in Galveston may not know me because I worked very hard. Cheryl can attest to how hard I worked in the 129 race. Unfortunately, the border of 129 stops at Clear Creek, so I didn't get down here that much during then. And I have a wife and a daughter. We've been married 30 years. My daughter graduated from Clear Creek Early College High School with a bachelor's degree and an associate, not a bachelor's degree, her high school diploma and her associate's degree at the same time, which made me very proud as a father. But I think that kind of thing shows you what we can do if we unleash our party. Republicans have solutions to problems. We don't publicize that well enough. We really have good things out there for everybody. And when you hear talk about engaging with different communities and reaching out to minority communities and stuff, we need to do that. It's very easy. You don't do that by going out and talking to somebody and coming back and say, I talked to a Hispanic guy today. That's ridiculous. You outreach. What you do is you engage. You go out there, you bring them to the table and say, sir, what do you want to see from the Republican Party? What is important to you that the Republican Party should be doing? That's engagement. That's what we need to be doing. That's how we win. And that is the spirit and the philosophy I'd like to take to Austin for you. Thank you.
Howdy, folks. My name is Dale Holes. I'm running for SREC committee man. Can y'all hear me okay? All right. Many of y'all know me out there. You've seen me on Facebook, social media, etc. Is that better? Okay. But do you really know me? Do you know why I do the things I do? I would venture to say not. So let me take a little bit of time to tell you why I run and who I am. Because it's important for you to know who runs for this position and who gets it and what it is that they're going to do. I've been in the Air Force. I served my country for 4 years and I loved it. I swore the oath and I love swearing the oath. I couldn't wait to come back to NASA and swear that oath again. I've been in Saudi Arabia. I've worked there for 5 years in a country with a theocratic dictatorship. There's no freedom in there. Sects of Muslims can't pray with each other because they're not allowed to. Christians, you can't show your religion in the country for 5 years. And if you're a Jew, forget about it. You shouldn't even be in that country. I've seen how that goes on. I've been in Bosnia. I spent a year there building and running a U.S. base camp in Bosnia during the Clinton administration. When I went over there, I was against it, but it was a job. But when I got over there, I saw the people I worked with. They weren't radicals. They were just people wanting to live in freedom. And they did not have that because somebody else with a gun came and took over and took their lives and took their country. That made a big impression on me. I've walked across Red Square. I've visited the Kremlin. When I was growing up, that was ground zero, folks. I get freedom. I understand that. That makes me who I am. I have been out in the world. I've been to Japan and Canada, Germany, Europe, all over the place. And I've seen different variations. God, I love my country. When this Tea Party movement started, of which I'm a big part of, it wasn't Johnny-come-lately. It wasn't, hey, this is fun and games, let's go play Patriot for a while. This is who I am. This is my core. I'll never stop. We're going too far down a road. Somebody has to throw the anchor and stop the boat. And it's all hands on deck. And that's why I'm out here. That's why I work all across Texas every day. And I haven't stopped doing things. I go down to the Texas border with Heidi and Mary Holes, and we sit there in the dark, in the brush, looking for criminal trespassers violating our border. Sit there with a gun and a flashlight and a radio and try to report who we see coming across. It's not enough to only be there. The reason I go is not to secure the border. It is not to protect the ranches who are being overrun by these illegal aliens. It is to witness as a Texan what is going on in our state. That's the important thing. So I can come back and I can tell you and other groups what is going on. That is an important thing. That's what I do, I'm a member of the Clear Lake Tea Party. We've done great things in this state. We are known far and wide. We helped, we rented Minute Maid Park once, did a saddle up straw poll. When the RPT would not do a straw poll in 2012, the Tea Parties got together, we worked together. I was on that executive committee that put that together, and we rented Minute Maid Park and we held a statewide straw poll. We've done other things. We've had activists come down to Clear Lake, hundreds of Tea Party folks across Texas, to get together and plot strategies and figure out where we're going with our state. That is what we need to do. So I am a very big Tea Party activist, but I also cross over into the Republican land because you know what? Republican principles and values are the same as the Tea Parties. We just have a different way of going after it. But I decided early on, there's only two parties in America. That's Republicans and those other guys. You know, they're gone. They're lost. There are no conservative Democrats that I can name today that have any influence in their party. However, in the Republicans, there are many. They are a multitude. And they all profess to go with the same principles and values. The question is, can we hold them accountable for that? Part of my reason for running for the SREC is because I want to change their culture a little bit. Now, all the things Cheryl does, we're going to have to do and continue doing that. You know, we're going to have to take the ideas from these fine folks and say, yes, we need to get more transparency to the grassroots. Okay, but just remember, there's grassroots on a golf course, and then there's grassroots on the range. I'm a range type of grassroots. I'm out there in the wild and uncut. That's who we need to go after also, not just in our Republican clubs, not just in our social clubs. We need to reach out to all the folks. Listen, the Tea Party is a major, major driver of the Republican Party today. There is no doubt to that. In fact, it scares many. Well, good. I want to see them scared. I want to see them scared enough to run on their principles and run on their values, because that's what it's all about. To be part of the SREC, I intend to go in there and not only do the transparency things down to the grassroots, but take the grassroots up to the SREC and let them know what's being said on the streets, what is important to them, and what it is we must do. If we're going to take on Battleground Texas and all the progressives out there, we're going to have to show that the Republican Party stands for something. It means something. That means we have to bring a brand of activism to the SREC that's never been seen before. We need to send SREC members to the House and Senate committees and testify and get our plank on the record. We need to go up there and say, we have a plan. We voted on it in our state convention. This is what we stand for, Mr. Chairman, Mr. Republican Chairman. Do you understand what this plank says and what it means? And we need to say that. We need to be, in the SREC, the face of the Republican Party as an activist party, as somebody who will go out there and stand on our principles and not only show it to the Democrats, not only put it to the independents, but show it to our own party. For many folks, the R is simply something after their name and their title. We want it to be part of their values. So that's what we're going to have to do. So with that said, I just wanted to give you my feeling of why I want to run for the SREC. I'm not running against anybody here. I'm running for my own vision. I'm running for the activism I can bring, where I hope we can change the culture. if I can't logically persuade them into being more active in this way, I hope by God to shame them. So that's where I'm coming from. It may not be your cup of tea, but it damn sure is mine. Thank you very much.
That's not going to work. Okay, can everybody hear me? How's this? Taking it off. Okay, good evening. I want to thank first and foremost the Galveston County Tea Party, its organizers, for coordinating this forum and opportunity for my words to tell you about myself. My name is Steve Williams, and my intentions for this position in Senatorial District 11. I have been involved with Republican Party operations since 1992, and when I had an opportunity to serve as an election clerk in my precinct for my predecessor, who was the presiding election judge. Since that time, I have performed in areas including all aspects of elections, and since that time, and became the precinct chair when she stepped aside a couple of years later. I have served on many committees since those days in outreach, military affairs, which at the time was an ad hoc committee, and recently as co-chair of the Training and Development Committee, where we have been taking our message to other districts in Harris County during this last cycle, and it's been a very satisfying term. And many of the things we have accomplished have been to make aware of the legacy we need to foment to younger activists who are coming into our organization. And the mentoring program, which I proposed and our committee implemented, has had successes in giving experienced precinct chairs the opportunity to mentor new precinct chairs and get them plugged in and create relationships that give longevity and retention within the ranks of our county party. It's my intent to take that program to other counties around the state of Texas. I think this is very important. Because when you look around this room, you know, we're not going to be around here forever. We got to have a hard look at ourselves and start fomenting that kind of relationship with the younger generations. I guess you could say I'm a little bit older than the average bear, but then again, I'm young enough to know that, hey, our legacy is important. We need to create that, and we need to do it fast. That is a program that certainly is open for anyone to participate and individualize the efforts based upon simple premise that what may work in one precinct may not work well in another. And the opposite is certainly true with the idea that new precinct chairs may very well have fantastic ideas that they can bring to the table. And they're very professionals. And for others to emulate and apply within their precinct as well. So we can certainly learn new tricks. Now, as this opportunity to serve with your support, I bring to the table a clear, historical, firm, conservative approach to issues that can certainly affect all of Senatorial District 11, but also take into account that this is a huge state with varying issues that need addressing from a body such as the SREC. It needs someone with an understanding and ability to advise their own districts, utilizing communications, town hall style meetings, and take SD11's consensus, our direct input, back to the SREC. That to me is just extremely important, and many others, as this body meets in Austin, sets the tone and agenda for the future of this party and the state of Texas. Senatorial District 11 needs someone who looks at the big picture, applies virtuous, knowing really simply the difference between right and wrong, conservative ideals, and understands the dynamics of their district, and has the ability to continue relationships statewide with other members in their issues, both positive and, of course, challenging. What works in one district may not work in another district. Okay? So, having attended some of those meetings in Austin, I see the tone. I see the challenges. I see the struggles that we have as a party. We really definitely need to rise above that. seriously. And to be able to keep and encourage those members to stay the course, being good stewards of their responsibilities, and return virtue to our political processes, and encourage those who are in higher elected offices of our expectations without any ambiguity. I would also like to conclude that I am unapologetic about my conservatism. My words come from the heart. I kind of deliver sometimes like Shaggy, but I write like Tom Jefferson. At least somebody told me that one time. I have the highest regard for the Tea Party movement and will champion its message in this leadership position with the utmost sincerity and commitment. I cannot see doing it any other way. Galveston County's conservative base will certainly be represented well if I can earn your support and perform this duty for you. I request your support and hope that to be able to address you in the future about SREC activities very soon. Thank you for your time and consideration.
Okay, I'd like to thank everybody for your attention, but I wanted to say this before we go to question and answers, that I know this took a while to get through this many people, and everybody's kind of attention was appreciated, but I got to tell you, I feel rejuvenated. We have a lot of quotes from Ronald Reagan, but this reminds me of one from the other side. Speaker of the House, Sam Rayburn. He's a smart man too. And he said, remember, politics is local. All politics is local. And I can tell you after listening to this group of people tonight that SD11 has a bunch of up-and-comers to secure our future for a long time. So I really appreciate they're throwing their hats in the ring, and I can say that after listening to all of them, it's we've got some great choices. Thank you. Yeah. While we're John, if you would man the mic, got it. Thank you. Do we have any questions? Raise your hand. Right there.
I'll address it to Mr. Larson, and then anybody else can comment on it. When you said you were a member of the Vacancy Committee in Harris County last year, there was a couple of situations. One was a young man who had been very active in Republican campaigns in the Montrose area, applied to be the precinct chair and was turned down because he happened to be gay. And then there's another gentleman who was a member of the A-Leaf School Board, was an Asian American. And he was turned down for that precinct chairmanship because he was not pro-life. That sent a pretty strong message to the young people and to the minorities that if you're not like us, you can't be part of the party. How would you address that as a committeeman?
Well, I think it's very simple. There's a quote of Reagan's that gets used a lot, and I subscribe to it completely. And that quote is, if somebody agrees with you 80% of the time, they're not a 20% traitor, they're your ally and your friend. And both of those individuals came in and they, right down the line, with one or two exceptions, they had a 20 question questionnaire about their values and their beliefs, and right down the line, there was maybe one or two items out of that 20 on each of those gentlemen's questionnaires, they were Republicans. Now, one thing that really struck me, especially with the second gentleman, Niho, who, by the way, ran for the State House. I think that takes a little gumption. I haven't been there. It takes a little gumption, and it is definitely a sign that he's definitely a Republican. One thing that, the way that committee works, you interview the person, you read their resume and their application, you interview the person for about 20 minutes, half an hour, then they leave and we debate. And during the debate, one person asked the rhetorical question, what do you think? I'm worried about this person. If this person goes out into their district, what do you think they're going to tell voters? And I looked and I said, I think he would tell them to vote Republican. And that's why I voted for him. Unfortunately, we didn't carry the day that day, but as an SREC committee man, again, it's outreach to everybody. If you're with us, you're with us, and I welcome you.
Travis Bryan, Harris County 347. I don't really have my question's for the entire forum up there. I just want to know, does anybody on the forum have a birthday today, and would they mind if we sang you happy birthday?
Who's got the birthday?
Dale.
Oh, okay.
Birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Dale. Happy birthday to you. Okay, with that, I'll tell you what, we'll go ahead and adjourn, and so we'll have some time for people to get around and talk with each other, because we kind of have to button the place up here in a little bit or they'll run us off. So thank you very much.